What up, junkies? Welcome back to Culture Junkies Live, the live geek talk show where we talk about all the most pertinent geek topics going on in the country and the world today. I'm your host, Kenshiro, and this week we're going to be talking about the impending release of Spider-Man on PS4 and where it kind of falls in line of the best comic book based video games that have ever been made. Also some news about Captain Marvel dropped this week, so we're going to discuss some of the pictures that we saw with Captain Marvel, but also we're going to be talking about The Witcher and Henry Cavill being cast as Geralt, and kind of some other shows that we love to see. But first, who's going to be on the show with me today is Mr. Fallen Marvel. What's up, bro?
Greetings and salutations, junkies. Happy to be here to talk about some comic book video game related stuff, so let's go.
Cool. Deep in the heart of Texas, Miss LGZ, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you as well. And last but not least, certainly not least, the great Dadakuji. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, everybody. I am glad to be here with you tonight.
You need a little bit of light there. You're kind of dark there, dude. Kind of in the shadows. You in the shadow room?
Yeah.
Is that your deal today?
A little bit. That's how you get relaxed, man. You gotta. That's how you do it. But let's move in a little bit closer.
Right. So, obviously, Brie Larson kind of dropped some news today about the long-awaited Captain Marvel. We kind of thought it was going to be maybe a trailer. It wasn't a trailer. Ended up being just simply a picture and a few other pictures from the movie. But we got to take a look at them, and honestly, I was pleased. We got to look at Brie Larson as Captain Marvel in the official suit, which we've been teased about for I don't know how long. That finally came out, but we also got to see the Skrulls for the first time. We got to see young Nick Fury and Samuel L. Jackson with that hairline we ain't seen in like 40 years. So what's you guys' opinion of Captain Marvel and the pictures that were shown on the internet today?
Oh my gosh, it broke the internet. I mean, my internet's broken.
Look, man, stop, dude. Don't be pessimistic. Come on.
It should be like that. A trailer would have broke the internet. A trailer would have broke me.
Yeah,
I personally was hoping for a trailer, of course. I'm satisfied with the pictures. I think she looks great. You know, Sam looks great as, you know, he does what he does. That man, I don't see how in the heck isn't he like 80 years old or something like that?
Something like that. And
the announce of the formidable Skrulls, apparently, which I don't know much about in the comics. I've seen them in various cartoons where they were taking over. I think what was it, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the cartoon, the second season had something to do with the Skrulls.
Yeah,
and that could be very interesting. I really wonder where they're going with that, because if Captain Marvel is a prequel, which it is, and the Skull Invasions is in the 90s, and does it have something to do with them replacing the superheroes if whatever
we don't know
superheroes around then, or is it going to be that's the thing that I'm trying. I'd like to understand. Now, granted, of course, we're not going to know. Come March, we're going to be sitting in that movie theater, and at the end of that 2 or 2.5 hours, we're going to find out and know. But right now, it's just like a big speculation, because what does that have to really do with current Marvel? Because this is going to be the first prequel, from my understanding, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if it is, they are going to have to put stuff in there that hopefully doesn't screw up the other movies in Marvel Cinematic Universe, because I don't know if, for most movies, whenever they go backwards for stuff, they kind of screw stuff up. So I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's very promising at this point. I'm looking forward to seeing what was his name in Die Hard 3? Zeus.
Yeah, Zeus.
We're gonna be seeing him with the hairline in there, and like I saw something else. Like I heard Coulson's gonna be in it too.
He is going to be in there. Yes, he will.
So all I'm just saying is that, like, just from what I've seen, just with the pictures alone, like I'm already looking forward to seeing the movie in general anyway. But I think with it touching on some of those elements like pre-Avengers in general, and just kind of knowing what like the whole where Shield was at the time and all this other stuff, and then showing where she goes with the Kree Empire and all of that, because we saw those photos with them, like with her actually in the in the thick of it with like Ronin and whatever. So that's gonna be some interesting storytelling, and then going through the whole process of connecting it to present day. So I don't know. I'm geeked, obviously. Like, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be dope. LGZ, what's your thoughts?
Pictures look good. I mean, I'm just waiting to see what actually happens. I mean, I'm excited. So I just ready for it to come out already. Like, I hate that these movies take so long to come out, and there's like so much time in between them. But I'm excited to, with the pictures. I'm ready.
Well, are you more mad? Well, guys, are you more mad that that all we got were pictures than instead of a trailer after all this time? Because like when Brie Larson was talking about breaking the internet yesterday, I have to admit, I kind of thought, I was like, ooh, yeah, probably there's going to be a trailer, and then all we get are pictures. But even if we got just pictures, I'm cool with that. I mean, New York Comic Con is like really, really soon. Maybe we'll get a trailer then. That's
they got us to look. That's all I can say. They got us to look.
Yeah.
You can't be talking about breaking the internet and then just not doing that. Like, that's weird.
Well, hey, it's not like Brie Larson got Kim Kardashian booty and breaking the internet or anything like that. It's just, it's her in a costume, and I thought it was really comic accurate. I thought she looked good. It was nice seeing Ronan the Accuser. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters. I hated to see the way that he went out in Guardians of the Galaxy, so hopefully he gets a little more run and is a little more like the Ronan the Accuser that I'm used to seeing. So that should be pretty cool. It would be also pretty cool now that Marvel has. Well, it's probably too late. I was gonna say it would be nice if they think about this, Fallen Marvel. What if Clerk was in there, right? The Super Skrull was actually in Captain Marvel, and like, what if? And feel me out on this, right? And I know I'm kind of like going on a whole kind of like a segue, but
right.
What if the Fantastic Four was a prequel movie, right? And they actually fought the Skrulls like a long time ago, and everybody kind of like they've been trapped in some kind of in the negative zone or something like that, like a pocket dimension all this time, and they missed everything, and all of a sudden they just came back. What if that was dope? Simon says, quit being a hater over there.
I'm not gonna lie, that would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
So, man, it's like, dude, we've already got so much speculation between now and when Avengers 4 comes out. What's gonna connect? What are they gonna introduce? And dude. It's crazy because like all this speculating is just really reminiscent back when just during phase 1. Like, we're speculating as much now as we were then, and this was before we even had a team up. Right. Like during this time, so, like right now, dude, it's just so many possibilities.
Isn't it exciting? It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Like, that's an understatement right now.
Yeah. I think it's exciting. So, okay. So, is there anything that we didn't like based off of what we saw so far from Captain Marvel? Out there in Junkie Nation, let us know your thought on Captain Marvel. Simon Says is over there being a hater, saying Captain Marvel will be trash or whatever. That's LGZ's favorite word, trash. He says it almost better than anybody, I think. But I just don't understand it. Go ahead.
We've known this guy for a very long time. But how? Now, I realize that nothing's perfect. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been out for 10 years. But just from my experiences, they have not put out any trash yet. They have had great movies, and then they've had good movies. But for me, and I assume for you, when you use the word trash, don't just be throwing it around, like that, because DC's movies have been trash, and none of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies have been on DC's level. Not even Thor: Dark World. Thor: Dark World is still better than what DC put out, except for Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman has been their best film, which has been amazing.
Batman vs Superman is so much trash. So much trash.
You can't use that word trash.
Hold the phone, guys.
I know you love it. You feel entertained by it. That's fine and dandy to be entertained by it.
Right now that we need not to bark up that tree again, because we know
how we do all day, every day. All day, every day. Batman vs Superman is trash.
Oh
my God, you guys are haters.
This is the piggyback off what Dido was saying. Like, we kind of are in this time where C+ movies are considered trash now, which I think is not even fair. So it's like, because what's a good example that we've had this year? I think I can't really think of it, but it's like, again, it's like folks kind of like, if it's not like just outright amazing, like on Jump, it's like people just consider it trash. And I'm thinking, like, what makes it trash? Because it's always something aesthetic, which is ridiculous half the time. So, the thing is, like, again, it's like I'm on that train. It's like, look, if you think it's trash, give me a reason why you think it's trash, and we can talk about it.
Trash.
I would like to know some reasons why you guys, besides the Martha thing, why you guys thought Batman versus Superman was.
Do you not?
Okay, are we really going down this path again?
Hold on.
Really?
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Okay, because I don't know if she remembers me, and I can tell people what I do and do not like about certain movies. I'm not going to be like most freaking nerds out there that cannot explain it. They just, I didn't like it. Why didn't you like it? Well, I didn't like it. Okay. I'm sitting there in Batman v Superman, and I'm trying to understand, first off, what's Batman's motivation. I don't think they really went into that very well, because, yes, there was destruction caused by freaking these Kryptonians, but anybody, specifically Batman, would have seen that the guy who calls himself Superman, or what they were calling him Superman, was not there to cause trouble for you. Yes, to be prepared, because that's kind of how Batman is. He's the type of person to be prepared just in case something does go wrong. We've seen that in comics. We've seen that in the cartoons. We've seen his technology stolen and used against them. But they didn't do this. He just had an outright vendetta against Batman with no backstory. Now, Superman, on the other hand, still pisses me off on how he acts, because he's not Superman. One thing that they got right at Justice League is Superman in the beginning, and how he acts is Superman. He knows he's the baddest ass. He knows that he is friggin' a Boy Scout. He knows that he can easily wipe out anything that he needs to. And that's the reason why he holds back. And there's a reason why he's like that and super good, is because he has such power. We've seen that in the comics. We've seen that in the comic books. You did not see that in that movie. You saw some guy that just is confused on why he's here, what's going on. You had two non-characters, how they're supposed to be portrayed, going against each other. Did it have some good fights? Maybe. Did it get to a point where it's kind of dumb about Save Martha? Most definitely. To me, the highlight of the movie was Batman. And that was the first time, in my honest opinion, they showed Batman how he's supposed to be when he was saving Martha inside that warehouse. I did like that part of the movie, but that's not enough to save the entire movie. They needed it more drawn out, more character development. They did not give the character development in Superman or Man of Steel, and they did not give that character development to Batman or Superman in those movies. And that's why I didn't like those movies. Now, I can understand why some people could look at it, like I said, and say, oh, I liked it because it was entertaining. I liked it because it had this, this, and this. It doesn't necessarily have to be like this. It doesn't have to be like the comic books, but the characters should be. You should have that feeling from the comic. That's where most nerds get so pissed off, is that regardless of the story, regardless of the fighting, the characters did not feel like the characters, and that was pissing them off. They can't explain that, but that's what they're normally going at. And for me, Superman and Batman didn't feel like how they were supposed to. And that's why I did like Justice League, because to me, it felt like them. Superman felt like how Superman was, talking to the kids, having a fucking computer smile on his face, sans mustache, but it felt like how Superman would be. Happy, jovial, talking to kids, not this brooding, you know, I don't know what I'm doing here, what I'm supposed to do type person.
Yeah.
And I can't believe, you know, and even Batman was a little bit too jokey joke. That could have been brought down because Batman is supposed to be that serious type person. But it still felt like a comic book movie for Justice League. Yeah. So for me, I like Justice League more than like Batman versus Superman because of how the characters were portrayed.
So we're not gonna dwell on this anymore. We've gone over this ad nauseum. In fact, LGZ's gonna have her hands busy over in the Facebook chat discussing this anyway because they going in on it right now. But we're gonna move on to Spider-Man the video game. So Spider-Man the video game comes out on Friday. I can't wait. Actually, Fallen Marvel wants it to come out on an early release tomorrow because I'm pretty sure what you gonna stay up all night and grind through the story mode or some shit like that.
Oh no, I'm gonna take my time.
Oh, you gonna take your time? Okay, all right, that's fine. And I've got the PS4 Pro bundle coming to me on Friday, so I can't wait to get my hands on it too. But seeing all the reviews, right? The reviews it's getting really great reviews, 9s, 10s, the occasional 8.5 from IGN, and they hate her ass. But it just got me thinking, right? This is like one of the best. This is probably the best Spider-Man game we've ever seen. But what's some of the best comic book based video games that we've ever had? And that doesn't count like X-Men Origins Wolverine, because that's based on a movie, even though it's like really excellent. It's like the best Wolverine game we've ever seen. But what's like the best comic book based video games that you guys ever seen? So shoot.
So you mean just straight comic adaptation or just original game?
I mean just original games, but based on the comics.
It's too easy to say the Arkham series, even though like obviously I know somebody's gonna mention it, but honestly, like a personal favorite of mine was probably Maximum Carnage back on the Genesis. That's still like a personal favorite of mine, even though it was hard as shit. I don't know, like I remember the game, the beat 'em up aspect and the gameplay in it was really fun to me. And obviously being able to play with Venom in it too, like it kind of had a different dynamic playing with Venom too and all that kind of stuff. So like that, for me, that's kind of still like one of my personal favorites. Like I wouldn't say it's like the number one favorite, but it's definitely, I would say it's in my top 5 overall. I'd say that.
I can get that. I can get with that. Especially since like Maximum Carnage had like all of those the special character crossovers. You had Cloak and Dagger, you had I think you had Deathlock, you had Moon Knight, you had I forget who else you had. Was Ghost Rider in there? I forget.
I don't know, but I know Cap was in there.
Captain America was in there, right?
I think Firestar was in it. I can't really remember anyone else though, but like I definitely remember Deathlock and a couple others though, definitely.
Yeah, I totally remember them, and that did make it stand out to me. But I played it on the Super NES. I don't know exactly. That was back in the days, of course, when there was dramatic difference. Well, there was more cosmetic differences between the games, between the two systems. But I had it for Super NES. Let's see. Matthew P. Hartland says Maximum Carnage was his favorite as well. We got some really good ones up in the chat talking right now. Like one of them, Simon says, Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. That was by far the best Hulk game I've ever seen.
Is that the one on the 360 or the Xbox?
I think it was the one on 360.
OG Xbox?
I don't know. Maybe you could look that up. But I think literally that was the most phenomenal Hulk game you'd ever seen. It was just so sweet.
That's the one where you grab the cars and you can put the cars on your arm.
Yeah, and make them into fists and stuff like that. Yeah. I think that was pretty dope. But the fact that it was open world, you could jump all over New York and just wreck everything. It was great. It was great. Where's a whole game like that? I need something like that back, especially with today's graphics. That would be just too dope.
The last one we had was based on the movie. They tried to use the same
Captain America game.
They did come up with a Captain, but it was based on the movie.
For 360,
it was based on the movie.
It was based on the movie, but it actually played decent. It was actually a decent game. Like it wasn't like groundbreaking or anything, but it was decent. It was decent enough.
It's
Yeah.
like a bargain bin game now. Same thing with Iron Man for a minute.
L-
Now, some of the
LGZ.
other ones I've seen were really bad. Like I think like by far the worst when it came out was the Thor game. Like that game was really bad.
Well, okay. So I know we said we weren't going to include movies, but we're talking about bad ones. So you're saying the Thor game. What about that Iron Man game? The Iron Man game wasn't much better, honestly.
The first one wasn't great, but I think I don't know, like I think somewhat like the effects that they use like during like the fast flying mechanic, like when he's like flying fast, like that part of the game looked okay. Like obviously everything else was kind of mediocre, but like I don't know, like I don't remember like anything extraordinarily terrible from that game, but I know it wasn't exactly a great game either.
Yeah. LGZ, you've been quiet. What do you got for like the best comic book based video game that you've ever played? If you played any, you got any?
I think L has to come back in.
Just come back in. Okay.
Yeah.
L's dropped out, but I got something for you. I'm gonna bring up some memories for you. Number one,
let's go.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Xbox 360, PlayStation
That
3.
was freaking excellent, dude. That was an excellent game.
That game
It was a
dope.
very great game. I'm a little bit pissed at myself that I wasn't playing it when the rest of the world was playing it because
Oh man, it was so
I can't
excellent.
play online with anybody. I think you can probably, if people still have it, because I still have it on my Xbox, and if you own it, you can still have it. I don't think it's available for download or purchase.
Dude, I swear, I think that's the only reason I've kept my 360 around because it's still on there, and I don't want to lose it.
Good.
It was so good, so good.
Gotta play it.
I got
It was
on
like
my
it was such a
PS3.
classic
My
beat 'em up.
PS3.
Go ahead, man. Oh, you got it on your
All right.
PS3? You said?
Yeah, I got it on my PS3. Like that was a fun one.
All right,
Yeah.
so I don't know how many remember this one right here. The Punisher.
Oh, dude,
for
I freaking love that
Xbox.
game. I
This
freaking
game-
love that.
Now, if people remember, they came out with a Punisher arcade beat 'em up made by Capcom. Came out on the Sega Genesis. Extremely expensive. If you find it for cheap, buy it. But this one right here, this Punisher game is so freaking ridiculously violent to the point, for my understanding, how the Punisher really is when it comes to torturing people to get information out of them in the various ways that you can do so. Crazy.
Dude, that game, he was putting people, he was like putting chainsaws to he was like running them through tree mills or some stuff. Like it was
Sticking their heads
it
in
was
fucking
just
fryers and
it was
stuff.
crazy. It was crazy good. Like that's a game, even though graphically it doesn't stand up to the test of time now, but like literally, dude, I would love to see you stream some footage of that game. Like that game was crazy. That game was crazy good. I loved it.
That was a nutty one. I played that game one time. It was actually pretty decent.
Oh, it was so good. So good.
Really good. Worth it. And this one right here, I'm surprised you guys haven't picked it up. I have a copy. It's not even open. I did open it for the other systems I had for it, so that's how I know it's good, because I actually played it. But it's Injustice. As you know, from my understanding, it is based off a comic.
Well, the comic came afterwards, but it's still based on the comic book property, so it's still good. Yeah, it's still good.
So yeah, it's there, and this was in my honest opinion, the first DC fighting game worth talking about, because people at NetherRealm, they put the foot in it, as people know, and when that Mortal Kombat 9 or the remake of Mortal Kombat came out, and they used that same engine, they had their hands in it, and I I on purpose haven't bought part 2 yet, because I want the pack like this one. I want the one that everything is on the disc.
Oh, the ultimate edition.
Yeah, because I'm not buying all those damn characters. That pisses me off. And I guess I'm not gonna be playing it because
WB Games is kind of becoming really notorious from that, like outside of Capcom. So
yeah, they are. You know, speaking of Capcom, and a lot of people are saying, of course, the Marvel vs. Capcom series was really good. I mean, I'm still not a fan of 3, but I know a lot of people really like it. I've never been a fan of 2. 2 was still the best to me, but you know, that's just appealing to me and my 2D side scroller, you know, fanboyism, I guess. I don't know. It's just, that's part of it. A lot of other people are saying, of course, the X-Men arcade game, the Captain America and the Avengers arcade game, which was absolutely classic. Like, the Avengers, like, dog, I want to run through, like, I would love to I would love to actually Twitch like how long it would take for me, like if I was actually spending money. Because remember, like back in those days when it was they were called quarter crunchers for a reason. Because it was like you put your quarter in, and it was like your health bar was constantly running down, like almost on a clock, almost on a clock. Like you would take energy off. There was barely any way to really replenish it, if any kind of way, shape, or form. You had to pick from Captain America, Hawkeye, Vision, and Iron Man. Those are like the ones that you had, and everybody else was kind of like like an extra character that would kind of come in. You had Quicksilver, you had the Wasp. I want to say I think Beast. I saw Beast in there as well. But yeah, that was one of the early really good arcade games based on a comic book. Let's see what are some other ones that's all. A lot of people are saying Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That was great. But let's take it back to the original when it was X-Men. What was it? I think it was X-Men Next Dimensions. X-Men Legends. That's what it was. X-Men Legends. X-Men Legends was the precursor to that, and that's kind of what started it. When Raven was like creating the game, that was on the original PlayStation and Xbox. That game was great. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I actually still have those.
Do you?
Like on PS2, yeah.
Nice.
I managed to find both of them. I scooped them up, so I still got them.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. So like I think like as far as the Ultimate Alliance games, like I did manage to find like the gold edition of the original one for 360. So like I have that one, which I'm kind of glad for, because I think like that one had Magneto, Hulk, and I was a couple other people in there. I forget what, but just to kind of like what we were saying earlier, like really quick about like the versus games. For me, I think Marvel Super Heroes vs. Street Fighter is still my very favorite one, mainly because of the announcer. Like to me, that game had the lightest announcer ever in the versus game. So like that's still one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, that one was really good. Well, LGZ, you still kind of quiet over there. Did you not play many comic-based video games?
No, the only one that I have is and somebody said that in it. Kirk Jackson said it was Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim.
My only comic book.
Mm-hmm.
If you broaden your horizon, I'm pretty sure you played more. Like, for example, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, I didn't.
That would also count. Actually,
you never played any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game.
No, I never played.
You're kidding me.
I played back in the 80s.
Hold on. So my thing is like the shoot 'em up killer game. So like Hitman, I played Hitman. I played like what's the one?
I'm talking
they made
about
that
the
movie.
80s and 90s.
I wasn't.
No, girl, we're talking about like back in the arcades. You didn't play in arcades?
Yeah, back in the arcades.
I was a Pac-Man girl. I like Pac-Man.
And I
That's
can
not
understand
based on the
that.
comics.
No, it's not based on the comic. That was the original IP.
No.
But like they had the X-Men beat 'em up games. They had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles beat 'em up games, and the arcade. Back in the day, you pop a quarter in and you play until somebody dies or you beat the game.
Yeah, no, I didn't do it. My brother.
Stop.
My brother did. My brother did a lot of that. I have a brother, and he did a lot of the video game playing, as far as like all the comic book stuff from back in the gap. But I was not that person. When I was younger, I played like Pac-Man and Centipede, and saying was that Starfire or whatever that game was
Star
called?
Fox?
Like, or yeah, whatever. I played that. Like that's the kind of stuff I played.
It's so vanilla, man. I'm surprised. I thought you played more games.
No, I don't play a bunch of games. That's why I was like,
okay.
I did like I do other stuff.
Well, that's understandable. I mean,
that's cool.
If you're,
it's cool.
Your mode of entertainment is the movies and whatnot. I get it.
So wait, now that you're more of a comic book like movie fan, would you like go back and entertain playing some of those games? Because we could point out some ones that you probably really should play. Like remember the Tato's Superman game that came out like in 1987?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, remember how good that was? It was.
I remember playing that at a local party store. And we played video games in that party store till the guy got robbed because the guy was asking for quarters, and apparently he shot the guy in the party store, and then they took all the arcade games out. Yeah, that's
Well, way
Detroit,
to get morbid on this topic.
I'm
I
sorry,
appreciate
I mean,
that. Yeah,
right.
way to go. Way to go.
That's what happened. I wasn't at the place at the time, but that's apparently what happened. The guy got shot, and they took the fucking games out because he was asking for quarters, and I don't know exactly what happened. But regardless of that, yeah, I played that game. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was really good. Spider-Man now Spider-Man's had, out of all the Marvel characters, obviously Spider-Man's had a lot. Like, Spider-Man's had a lot of games, right? He had that Atari 2600 game. I barely even remember that game. Like, I barely remember. I don't even think I was conscious playing.
I think GQ has it. I remember.
Of course he does. Of course he does. Of course he has that. Yeah, the Superman game on Atari 2600. I remember that. But Spider-Man had, I think he had a game also on the NES. But the one that I remember that stood out to me a lot was the Sega one, the Sega game, arcade game that he had. It was Spider-Man, Hawkeye. A very odd choice for a character to come up with Spider-Man in an arcade game. It was Spider-Man, Hawkeye, Black Cat, and Namor the Submariner. It was just like, okay.
Was it a beat 'em up?
Yeah, you don't remember that? Come on, I know you played it. Remember?
I might have, but I can't recall it.
You can't remember? Okay, yeah. Go look on it. Like, look it up real quick on your YouTube. Go search for a Sega Spider-Man arcade game, and you watch it. You be like, oh yeah.
I'm also trying to think of other farting games that you can consider comic books, because in Japan they're called manga, but I would assume that they're comic books too. And I got a couple of them that I think were pretty decent, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Should
we? You know what? Why not? I mean, hell, it is technically a comic book, so sure. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was pretty dope. I remember when it came out. Yes, when it came out, like the fight when it first came out, and of course, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is like, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was like a fighting game back in the day, and I know it's like super hyped now because based off of the anime that's popular, but back then, back in the day, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was very obscure to most people, not to us, of course, but the fighting game was actually really, really good. It was like the first anime fighting game that was actually pretty damn decent. Like, this thing was played at Anime Central as like a tournament game, and that was back when Street Fighter Alpha was all the rage. So that should tell you something. It was pretty good.
Right.
It was pretty good. Some people are mentioning the Spawn game that came out on Xbox and Dreamcast. Yeah, that one didn't turn out so well. But Spawn being in Soul Calibur, I don't know about
the one
good
for Xbox, but the one for Dreamcast was friggin' amazing, because it was basically a game. It's a game that had it come out around the time now. Okay, people play Fortnite, right? Even though Fortnite is like battle royale, if you lose, you're done for an entire match. This was a 4-on-4 player versus player arena third-person shooting game. Kind of like Fortnite, because it was third person. It was only 4-on-4. It did come out in the arcade. I do have it on freaking Dreamcast, and that game was actually really fun. And a lot of games that came out on Dreamcast back in the day, I'd love for them to come back now, because something like that I think would get really big coverage. Actually, probably not anymore because of Fortnite. But
is this true?
It was actually.
Johnny Patton. Well, no, I'm sorry. Johnny Patton says Dreamcast Spawn had 60 frames per second. Actually,
yeah, the game was great, dude.
Really?
Seriously, gosh, I wish I had infinite time to show people this stuff, because I'd stream it for you guys one day. But it's just the thing that I have right now is that I love the Dreamcast, but certain games did not age well in the aspect of the controller. The graphics are fine for me. The gameplay is great, but that controller, oh my gosh, they put one analog stick on it. It needed 2 analog sticks.
Yeah.
And the standard back then was 2 analog sticks. They should not have just put one on there, because it's kind of hard to play a game where you got to use an analog stick and then buttons to move around. And it just, that didn't age well. Didn't work in the arcade, it was a joystick and if I remember correctly, because they also had another one called Out Trigger, which was very similar.
Oh, yeah.
Like I remember that game.
Yeah.
Out Trigger. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
The Spawn game was very similar to Out Trigger. And so it was solid. Johnny Patton is straight up correct by saying it's
So,
solid because it was.
I mean, I know we're talking about the best, but what are some of like the worst examples that you've ever seen of a video game based on a comic book? Now, I can go right off the bat and just straight up say all of the LGN games on the NES. We're talking Silver Surfer. We're talking X-Men. We're talking even. Did they make a Spider-Man game? I can't remember. But dude, those things were. Yes, those things. Oh, those games were so bad. Oh, they were so terrible.
Them, so I don't know.
They were so terrible.
I don't know. Like I know, like as far as I think, like as far as I can't remember what game it was, but it was the one Batman game they made for PS2 that was based off the animated series I didn't care for.
Batman Rise of the Sinzu. Would that be it?
That's one of them, but it's
the one before that.
I think it was the one before that, and I tried playing that one. I didn't care much for it. I forgot what the name of it was.
It was Batman Vengeance.
Yes, that one. Didn't care very much for that game. I didn't. That was a very stiff playing game.
Kinda liked it. I kind of liked it. I thought it was. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. Especially since it was continuing the animated series in a way, and that was like the only thing we had back then. So yeah.
Yeah.
But you were saying, go ahead.
I think like as far as like as far as like games that I played that was based off the animated series, like my favorite one was the one on the SNES. I think that was the Adventures of Batman.
Adventures of Batman and Robin. Yep.
And that game was actually pretty dope because it had such an arcade feel to it, and I loved it.
That one was amazing. In the Genesis one, even though there were two different types of games.
Yeah. Was it Genesis?
That one was actually,
the Genesis one was better.
The Genesis one was not even the same game. The Super Nintendo one was like a side scroller, beat 'em up side scroller platformer, and the Genesis one was like Gunstar Heroes.
Pretty much.
You and Robin. Yeah.
That's the one I'm talking about. The one that played like Gunstar Heroes is the one I was talking about. So
that's the Genesis.
Yeah, that's the Genesis.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought it was SNES. I always got them interchangeable. Like, just always kind of like transpose them every time I think back on them. But yeah, like that one was pretty dope. Like I love the game, like the gameplay with that one. It was so fast and
it was
just
fucking hard.
It was, but it was fun.
All right, so
and it was beautiful. I couldn't believe the graphics they were pulling off on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah, no, actually, that was one of the better looking Genesis games. I have to admit, it was really well done, really well done. But so bring it back to Spider-Man. You know, obviously, it's coming out this Friday. Spider-Man, as I alluded to, has already had a ton of video game adaptations come out. So, if I was to challenge you guys to give me your top 3 Spider-Man games, top 5 might be too hard. Top 3 Spider-Man games that have ever been released, like from your absolute favorite, top 3 ones, not obviously not counting the one that's yet to come out because we haven't played it yet. Which ones would be on your list? What would be on your list? What would make your list?
Let's see. I know for me, number 1 would be Web of Shadows.
Interesting.
2, I will probably say Edge of Time, mainly because of the story. And
also
3, I'll probably go with what I said earlier in like Maximum Carnage. Those would be my top 3.
Okay, hey, that's a pretty solid list and very surprising, honestly. Dido, what about you? You got a top 3?
No. And the reason being is because even though there are some really good comic book games out there, specifically,
you're gonna say it.
There are.
I know you're gonna say it.
But I only own one Spider-Man video game. Seriously, I've only one, and that's the Maximum Carnage one. That's the only one I've ever owned. And
so are you gonna say that you haven't played the majority of the others?
I never played any ones for the PlayStation.
Oh.
Not one of them. Nope.
Oh. Wow.
And no, I didn't. I mean, it looked great, but at the time, I see the way my brain works for the most part is licensed video games. I really don't give the time of day at all because You know, they're out there. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. I've been burned more times than I haven't. On the 32-bit and onwards. Now, 16-bit and down, you know, you played a shit ton of licensed games. A lot of them were good. You can talk about Aladdin, you can talk about the Batmans, the Turtles, blah, blah, blah. But when the 32-bit came around, I don't think they really put their heart and soul in them for some of them, not necessarily all of them. I just didn't pay attention to the Spider-Man ones. And I was told the first one, people remember it as being good. And then the second and third one kind of like lost their quality. So I didn't really look into those. The beat 'em up games, I really enjoy playing them because they're simple, they're fun, they're easy to pick up, sometimes hard to put down. You don't really have to focus too much time into them. I am looking forward to this new Spider-Man game when it's $20, and I'll see it that time. I'll wait a year. I can wait till friggin'
okay.
Black Friday.
Dare you?
It's cool.
Hey,
I mean, I'm not even gonna get mad.
Crazy,
I'm not even gonna get mad at him.
It's still in the packaging.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna get mad at him for saying that because I knew exactly what he was gonna say, and I was cool with that. Let's see. I'm seeing some really good ones out there. Jeremy Ponte says Spider-Man for Dreamcast, N64, PS1. So I'm assuming that's the original one that had the kind of original story about Dr. Octopus joining with a Venom symbiote. I think that was the one. Number 2 is Shattered Dimensions. Number 3 is Web of Shadows for him. Johnny Patton says Shattered Dimensions. Number 1, Ultimate Spider-Man 2. Marvel Heroes Arcade. Number 3. It's not exactly a Spider-Man game. Marcus Smith says Maximum Carnage, Shattered Dimensions, and Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, we're seeing a lot of Shattered Dimensions on there, and I have to admit, if I was to give my top 3, Shattered Dimensions definitely would be in it. Because if you are a Spider-Man fan, there was no greater joy that you had than hearing every single Spider-Man voice actor to that point, excluding the original Spider-Man from the 60s cartoon. Every Spider-Man cartoon voice actor was in that game, and they played one iteration of Spider-Man, and it was fantastic. I loved it. So you couldn't help but nerd out on that. So and plus the graphics were really good. It was a little bit limiting based off of some of the games that were around at the same time. Because Spider-Man 2, which came out kind of around the same time based on the movie, was by far one of the most innovative Spider-Man games because that was the first one to be open world and like you could swing everywhere. It was great. You could climb up to the top of the Empire State Building. You could be delivering pizzas. You could save the balloon from going up in the air. The kid that kept letting it go. But still, it was still a really great game. I had a lot of fun with that. And number 3 would probably be Spider-Man PS1 as well, would be on my list, even more so than Maximum Carnage, because again, it was like a love letter to Spider-Man. You were going around collecting issues and unlocking costumes, pretty much, which is like what you're going to see in the game that's coming out this weekend, with collecting backpacks and stuff like that and unlocking different costumes. I was watching some people actually have the game already and they're playing it on Twitch. They've had it for a few days and they're actually streaming some footage right now. To me, the game looks incredibly solid. There's a lot of costumes, and I mean a lot of costumes in this game. So if you're worried about not being able to change a bunch of different costumes and stuff like that, yes, you can do a lot of that. Marcus Smith, to answer his question, so the guy that voiced him in Spidey and His Amazing Friends did a voice? Yes, he did. I forget which one he did. I think he was Spider-Man Noir. I think he was Spider-Man Noir in that game.
No. Christopher Daniel Barnes was Noir.
He was Spider-Man Noir? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that he was Spider-Man 2099. That's who he was.
Yeah, because I'm saying it had to be either like 2099 or at least the original. So like I don't know. But like I knew Christopher Daniel Barnes was specifically Noir. Like that was unmistakable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But but still, like, yes, everybody that was a Spider-Man voice actor, like going back into the early '80s, they were in this game, and it was great. It was really great. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next topic, and the next topic being, oh shoot, I didn't even save it yet, but next topic was we were gonna talk about the upcoming Witcher TV series. Obviously Henry Cavill was announced as being a the star of the Netflix series The Witcher, based on Witcher 3 video game. He's going to be playing Geralt. Obviously the Witcher game is a very, very popular game. One of the games that I still haven't played, mind you. But it got me thinking, okay, this is a pretty big get for the Netflix series to have Henry Cavill be the headliner for it. So what other shows kind of need to be made, do you guys think, in for video game TV shows? What do you think?
It's so many. It's hard to narrow it down, but
like the best ones, the best chances, the ones that have the best chance of actually being any good.
You have to come back to me on that. I got to really think about that one.
Well, see, I got one, but it's the whole Netflix thing, and it's a whole thing of trying to do it right, because they did do a live action movie of this in Japan. It's called Yakuza. You may have heard of it. The Yakuza series is phenomenal in my honest opinion. Great storytelling, great characters, great gameplay, what have you. But the movie was garbage. Like, literally, they tried to take what the feel of it was, and then they tried to add some original story onto it that had nothing to do with anything, and it just, to me, didn't bode very well. I think it would be kind of cool, but it'd have to completely keep the Japanese feel to it 100%, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. It can be produced in conjunction, so it could be for both people who are fans of the show in America and fans of the game, rather, in America, and fans of the game in Japan. I think that would be something that'd be kind of cool to see if it was done as good, and not. They had some silly stuff in that freaking movie, and it was just like, why? Seriously, just why? But I think that would be a pretty awesome video game turned TV show. Because I think the character development, it needs to be a TV show and not a movie. Movies, it's very difficult for them to do that. Another video game that I think would probably, I don't know if that would be better a movie or a TV show, but I like the Metal Gear series.
Oh, yes.
And Metal Gear has a lot going on in it, where they could probably make it a TV show and not make it based off necessarily any game. My whole issue is like, which Snake would you use? Would you use Big Boss Snake, or would you use Solid Snake? I think I would go with Solid Snake. Why not both? Because, I mean, you could do both, but TV show, if you do it, got to have some kind of coherent narrative going on. You can't. I don't want it to be bouncing all over the place. One season you're Big Boss Snake, and the other season you're Solid Snake. I think that'd be kind of, because they're two different time frames. One is in the 60s to the 80s. From my understanding, Solid Snake was around in the 80s because, that was a whole clash against Big Boss in the first Metal Gear game. Because if anybody remembers somewhat of the history, Big Boss, or the Snake that was in Metal Gear Solid 3 and 5, became the bad guy. That I don't know. I have to read more into the lore and all that other stuff to find out why he became the bad guy. Kind of like his mentor was the bad guy in Metal Gear Solid 3. But regardless of that, I think that would be kind of interesting, because, the espionage thing, and done a little bit differently than most espionage things that we watch nowadays. Because, like, when people think spy movies, first thing that pops in their head is James Bond. And this is completely not James Bond. And at the same time, yeah, not at all.
No, it's not.
He's trying to make sure he stays hidden, and all that other good stuff. But
I don't know. You think you could really do a TV series about him, being on Outer Haven, like, for how many episodes? If it was like a miniseries?
if the whole season like was about a certain objective and story, then yes, because I can see it as almost like an action drama where he has a mission he has to do, characters that are involved in there. Because like if you remember Metal Gear Solid 2, he was not really involved with what was his name, Meryl.
When they brought Raiden in.
Yeah.
Yeah, or stuff like that. I mean, there's a tons of characters. There's a lot of backstory for all the characters. There's development that's done. So it could possible.
It could be almost like a buddy kill.
See a movie though.
Yeah, I would too. But I think it almost could be like a buddy show, like with him and Gray Fox doing missions. That could be pretty dope.
I mean,
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
It wouldn't be that bad at all. I wouldn't think it would be. Yeah. I mean, neither here nor there. I'll take a movie or TV show. What's that?
Simon says Mass Effect would be a good good as a TV show.
It probably.
I actually agree with that. I think Mass Effect as a TV show would be pretty dope. Yeah, I think it would be pretty dope. It's got plenty of lore, plenty of stuff to pick from, intriguing characters that you can kind of follow along. Some really great, just really great stuff. I think it would make a pretty good TV series. I think it really would. Mass Effect would be definitely pretty dope. Johnny Patton says Sonic the Hedgehog live action.
Oh, come on, buddy.
Bad enough we're already getting a live action movie for Sonic. I don't need it.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that at all.
No. Like, that's going to be so bad.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that at all.
I think if they did a
who's
TV
voicing
series based
Sonic? I forget. Who's voicing Sonic, did they say?
They don't know, but like I remember hearing something about them saying they're trying to get Jim Carrey for Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah,
yes. That would be
and
cool.
I think he might. I think
that would be cool
do it because Jim Carrey can really pull out some freaking.
Dude's a method actor. He could do it.
I think he could. But
I think he could too.
Grand Theft Auto, if they base it off of maybe San Andreas, because I don't think they have any TV dramas that are in a South Central style, area. If you think about any TV dramas like that, I think that would be kind of cool.
So in Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, it's got our favorite guy Neil McDonough from
Bison.
In Bison, and as I love to call him, Damien Dark. He was. No, come on, dog. Don't be like that. Neil McDonough's gonna be great.
Look,
come on, dude.
Real. Any video game adaptation with him any theater release with Neil McDonough attached to it does not fare well. I
Captain America.
Neil McDonough as an actor, don't get me wrong, but let's be real.
Captain America didn't fail. Walking Tall didn't necessarily fail. It was pretty good.
But to be fair,
his Bison
even though he was supposed to be a
top.
significant character, he didn't have like significant involvement as far as the story progression.
Bison was actually pretty.
That whole movie was bad.
Yeah, that movie.
It wasn't just him.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just him. You're right. James Marsden is going to be the live action pal to a CG Sonic, and CG Sonic is going to be voiced by Ben Schwartz.
Who the heck is Ben Schwartz?
Ben Schwartz is known for playing Gene Ralphio in the American TV comedy series Parks and Recreation.
Okay. Okay. That's all I can say.
He's currently voicing Dewey Duck on the DuckTales TV series.
Okay, I mean, at least he got some voice acting chops under his belt.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll say that. So, but
he's Leonardo in that Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series.
Okay, like I said, okay.
Anyway, so
someone's not a fan,
right? I'm not a fan.
Oh no, who's that? You said Ben Schwartz.
Yes, I did. I said Ben Schwartz.
He didn't have a freaking prominent role in Parks and Recs. He was like a freaking guest star every once in a while. All right.
No, I'm saying he's known for playing him. That's all. I'm just saying he's known for playing him.
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
So
yeah, we just taking this with a grain of salt at this
you know,
point. It's just like
it would have been really nice for them to get Jaleel White to be Sonic again. That would actually be pretty dope for nostalgia's sake to have Jaleel White to be
I would have allowed it.
Yeah, that'd have been nice
on principle, but I mean,
that'd have been nice.
It's just the fact that we still getting this live action movie with Sonic.
Yeah, I know. I feel you. I know. Nobody said Zelda as a the Legend of Zelda as a TV series.
Well, they're already producing one, aren't they?
No, as far as I know, no, they're not. As far as I know, no, they're not.
One they said they were trying to at least.
I've heard they've been trying to for I don't know how long, like for forever.
They must be waiting on Nintendo.
I know there was this man. Listen. They're going to be waiting for a while. Speaking of Nintendo, Metroid, what about Metroid as a possible either show or movie? Maybe?
I can see that being more. I can see that being a movie than a series.
Yeah, because there's not much going. I mean, Metroid, all the characters besides Samus are like kind of like aliens, and how do you develop those? Like, I don't even see. So they would have to invent characters for her to actually, because you know she's a space marine or whatever. So not space marine, what do you call that? Mercenary. And she'd have to go out and every week or something like that is going to be like a bad guy in a week or some shit like that. Yeah, it'd be Samus and her space marines. I know it would be. It would be Samus and her space marines, like the rise of Samus Aran. That's what it would be about. It'd be like her origin story. That's how they do. Now, from what I understand, Halo is actually, even though Halo kind of already had one with starring Luke Cage himself, Mike Coulter is one of the principal characters. Halo Infiltration was the name of that series, but we are getting another Halo series. This one's going to be produced by Showtime, and it's in the works. So, Halo as a TV series, what do you guys think of that?
That could work. I mean, that one has a very long history to pull from, like overall. So, like, I can see them doing like a fleshed out TV series with that.
Okay.
See, for me, it's because, like, okay, I didn't play enough of the Halo games for me to really understand the character development of Master Chief. Was Master Chief a person? Was he an android? What was he? I don't know what the hell he was. I just know you go out there and blew shit up. Like, would it even revolve around Master Chief? Would it be revolved around some other Spartan? I mean, that'd be kind of hard, because the thing, in order to do a good TV show, you got to have a good story and a way to portray these characters in a good way, where people care about the characters.
It'd have to be Master Chief and Cortana. That's the only thing. The only way I see that working. If it was,
I actually have a crazy idea.
That
Monster Hunter.
I could dig it. I could dig it.
I could see that. Like, if they actually did something, if I could like see them doing something like where it involved like rival hunting clans, like going for bounties or something. Like, I could see them doing a story on that, like using that and using the motif of monster. I could see that as a series.
Yeah, I could dig it. Yeah, absolutely, I could dig that. Let's see, getting kind of close on time. Is there any other shows that you guys could think of to
based on a video game? I know there's
based on a video game. Yeah. Well,
you think this would be extremely easy.
You would think,
but it's not.
No, it's not, because
that's why.
Yeah, because you think about it.
Tons of stuff, but Blaster Master. Would that be a good movie?
Man, I didn't even think about that one. Blaster Master. Wow.
Let's see. What else is in that memory bank of mine? The next game that popped up in my head for whatever reason is Karnov. But what the fuck?
Okay.
This is like throwing
32. Oh, maybe One. Remember One?
Yes, Thomas's favorite game. Like, dude, he played that game so many damn times. Oh
I
man,
enjoyed it too.
yeah, it was a good
something
one.
like obscure, like Heavy Barrel.
Heavy Barrel. Yeah.
Heavy Barrel. Wow. Contra the movie, Johnny Patton says it would be so awesome with the right studio. Maybe it would be like it would be like completely kitschy 80s style action, like Rambo style.
That would be cool, but
Ikari Warriors or something.
We kind of already had like Starship Troopers, so like
right.
It might do something alongside like in that vein, but but since like Starship Troopers did it first, it's like I don't know.
Right. I got one for you. Maybe you guys have played this or not. Indigo Prophecy. Now, granted, the game.
I very faintly remember that game.
It was a game similarly to like Heavy Rain or what's that other one that just came out? Detroit Becoming Human. I think the guy that produced Indigo Prophecy might have had a hand in one of those games. Not 100% sure or not. But it was a pretty intensive, deep game where you kind of like come into consciousness in a bathroom of a restaurant, and there's a dead body there, and you got blood all on you, and you don't know what the fuck is going on. Right. In the beginning, you're trying to get out of that restaurant without the police officer that's sitting at the freaking counter knowing what's going on. I think that game could be a pretty good either movie or TV show.
I think it could.
Like some really crazy like mind jobs type stuff or whatever. That
sounds
intriguing
stuff in there.
Right. So anyway, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. Next week's show is gonna be jam-packed full of shit, because even though we talked about Spider-Man this week, you can't forget that this week also, this Friday, the same day that Spider-Man comes out, sees the season 2 of Iron Fist comes out this week as well.
The immortal
Iron Fist. You know, I'm praying that it's going to be a much better show. But next week also we're going to be talking about Iron Fist. But we're going to be talking about Spider-Man, our reactions to the game after we've got to play it. Fallen Marvel and I actually will have a lot of things to say about it. Maybe even GQ when he returns from Chicago will have a lot to say about it. But also beyond that, did you realize that next week Shadow of the Tomb Raider comes out? I didn't even realize that. Shadow of the Tomb Raider comes out.
I knew it was coming out.
It snuck up on me. And, so I want to talk about games that, we're so excited to play, but we just don't got time for. So, anyway. I'm feeling you, dude. No, it is not. No, it is not. It is not a solo exclusive. No, it is not. No, it is not.
Why would they do that? Because Spider-Man is a AAA budget title, is expected to do a whole bunch. And why would they drop that a week later? That's like
I don't know,
almost
man.
as bad as
I don't get it.
From now all the way until next summer.
Yeah, because like October. Red Dead 2 comes out, so and you know how people have been waiting for that. So anyway, it's gonna be crazy, guys. So anyway, for my boys Fallen Marvel, for the great Daitakuji, I'm Kishiro. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, guys. See you later,
y'all.
Peace, love, and video games.